Um, the number one thing I have to do is applaud the Leatherneck football players for finishing or having the season that they've had up to this point in time. We finished, I'm going to say a couple things obvious about the big picture first. We finished the season 7-4, which is the same record that the conference champions have, Northern Iowa. And we defeated Northern Iowa here, of course, in game 11 of the regular season, and defeated North Dakota State on their home field, and finishing the conference second place by ourselves, where I believe we've earned the right to be in second place with the wins at Hanson Field and the win at North Dakota State. I do believe that we've earned our way into the national playoffs without a doubt. And I believe that this team deserves to play next weekend. And based on their performance throughout the 11 games that they've played. This is a very good football team, and I think they showed that today by their performance on Hanson Field.
How do you get up 30-0? I mean, what were you thinking at that point? I mean, would you see something like this coming? Or?
Oh boy, most of it seems like I usually don't see things coming on Saturdays, John. I try to, but it's hard to predict what will happen. I'll say this. I knew that our players were very excited about this ball game, and that's probably an understatement. They knew what the possibilities were. They knew win this ball game, we earn a berth, very likely earn a berth in the national playoffs. Obviously, they knew that. They've always been full of energy. In the previous 10 games, they've been full of energy at every kickoff, but they probably have a little more energy for this ball game. For that reason, the excitement of continuing. It's a special team, a special football family, and they want to practice this week together. They want to prepare for another game together, and they knew that if they went out and won versus Northern Iowa and Hanson Field, that'd probably happen, and I certainly believe that they deserve to continue to play.
How do you think the defense did, just coming out from start to finish, being really aggressive and just hitting them hard?
Defense did fantastic for 4 quarters. We with the opening kickoff, we took the ball in the opening kickoff and wanted to get on the scoreboard first, and because that allows our defense to feed off the offense. So when you're ahead, a defense is really motivated to keep the lead, as simple as that sounds. And so after the opening drive, we're ahead 3-0, and that just charges our defense up, gives them even more energy. As far as, let's not let them score. We can win the ball game. We're ahead right now. So there was a great start to the ball game. Our defense, obviously, again, as you just heard from the players, was very well prepared and just did an excellent job of carrying out the game plan. And I know that the numbers offensively by Doug Roos and the offensive staff, 527 yards of total offense. I'm sure that's not, I know that's normally not, what teams achieve against Northern Iowa. So great job by our offense to move the ball down the field and get points on the board as well.
You almost doubled them in output. 265, you get 5.7.
Right. Played a complete ball game. I guess that's another way to throw that I would put in there. And unfortunately this year we've played a lot of complete ball games. And this was a complete ball game in regards to kicking game, defense, and offense. From what I recall, we won all 3 phases of the game, and that's always your goal. It's hard to do, especially against a team like this. But I believe that we know that Northern Iowa has the automatic bid. Myself, like a lot of people, I can't imagine that 2 teams from this conference don't deserve to be in the national playoffs. And obviously, again, we're in second place, and we have the same record at 7-4 as the conference champs. But these players, they wanted to, like I said, really, they wanted to practice together. They wanted to prepare for another game together because of the family they've created this fall. And therefore, you saw their best effort of the year to date.
You talked coming in about how hard it was to prepare to simulate their offense just because it's the option game and running. It seemed like, I mean, very little trouble at all, able to read very well and get some disruption in the backfield even.
Good point. You're right about that. Our defense did they did as well as they could in practice. I'll say that they did a couple of creative things to simulate the Panther offense, and yet you still can't make it the same. But they were patient. Our defensive players stayed at home. Kind of waited to see where he was going to go with that ball. You don't need 11 guys chasing him in a hurry because he can head the other direction very quickly. But they were patient in carrying out their responsibilities, as we say, their jobs of fitting into the defensive scheme where they need to fit. And of course, a lot of times we really had, as you saw, all the gaps were filled properly by our defensive players.
What are the next few hours gonna be like for you until tomorrow morning?
That's a good question. One, we will, we'll have we've got to get we'll get all the players situated where they're going to stay tonight, and then tomorrow morning we'll gather together, and at 9 a.m., there'll be an announcement at that time, and we'll be gathered as a team to hear that announcement. And we plan on start game planning right after that.
How do you think specifically Lito and some of the senior did as leaders? Because Lito said that he talked to the team in the huddle and just.
Well, we've got 4 outstanding senior captains. We've got 17 outstanding senior players, and we addressed that in the locker room with the team after the game. And our 17 seniors, are excellent ball players every Saturday. They're also all 17 excellent role models for all their teammates, and that makes a big difference.
Talk about this being a statement game, not just for the team, but seeing Kyle too, sort of not really noticed nationally, but I mean the numbers. He came out and does what he does every week.
He did, and of course he added this week on top of his tackles. He had an interception, and I believe that was Kyle that had the other interception, correct? Yeah. That did get called back, but he's where the ball is. And again, as we've talked about, he studies the other team and is coached up on the other team, and because of his ability to learn and understand a lot of things, one of them being the game of football, he has a very good idea of what's going to happen on each every snap. It really allows him to get to where the ball's going quickly and be there in a hurry.